Hey, love. Valerie Love here. And I want to answer a question that I got that is maybe typical of a lot of questions that I hear or get. And this question is, how do I become a witch? How do I become a witch? And so I got an email the other day about this. How do I become a witch? I'm in a Baptist church. My Baptist family would not be happy about me stepping into who I really am. So how can I do this? And my mom told me that when I was little, I used to talk to angels. So she saw the videos on YouTube. So let's talk about that. How do I become a witch? And here is the short answer, and then I'll give you more of the story. You can't become a witch. You already are a witch. You can't become a witch, okay? So the question of how do I become a witch? You don't become a witch. You are or you're not, and you know it. So when I on this very same channel is a video that says a witch is born and not made. Because for me, being a witch is a soul calling. It's a soul path. Your soul chose it before you came into this lifetime. So there's a broader thing going on than a person who picks up a book on Wicca in Barnes & Noble and puts on a certain kind of clothing and buys some crystals and now says they're going to practice Wicca and be a witch. There's a distinction between that and a person who's born a witch, knows it through and through, and maybe never picked up any kind of accoutrements that go along with supposedly being a witch. So it's like, for me, it's like a shaman. How do I become a shaman? Well, the only way that you become a shaman, a true shaman, is because your soul already set that up before you came here. And when you get here, you then are called to that path. You meet another shaman. That shaman teaches and trains you, and now you are on your path as a shaman. There's no becoming a shaman. Your path on that was already established. It's like asking, how do I become the Dalai Lama? You can't become the Dalai Lama. You can't just make up your mind one day, I think I'm going to become the Dalai Lama. No. Being the Dalai Lama is a soul choice that is already established before he was born. Before he was born. And then it was simply a matter of identifying that which was already done. As above, so below. Let it be done in heaven as on. Let God's will, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It's already been ordained in heaven that you're a witch, boo. You can't become a witch. Now that is my experience of the matter. There are people that will tell you otherwise. So don't listen to any of us. Go within, ask, and get your own answers. I'm only here as a guide. I can't make up your mind for you. I can't convince you of anything. That's not even my job to convince you of anything. My job is to share the truth, to share a message. And if this message resonates with you and you can get with it, great. If it doesn't, great. Because somehow you are going to get what Spirit has for you. Regardless, you're going to get it one way or the other. So how do I become a witch? You don't. You already are one by soul choice. Now it's for you to come out the broom closet, to become aware of who you are, to have your soul remembrance. That's what this whole walk on this planet is about, soul remembrance. To have your soul remembrance of who you truly are. And once that soul remembrance of who you truly are is activated, you then can make a choice to walk in to be that person that you were born to be. I'll give you a story. So I'm little, I'm about 8 or 9. I'm in the Kingdom Hall, and this is a new Kingdom Hall. I can still see it in my life, in my mind's eye, because I was born and raised a Jehovah's. Well, I was not born and raised a Jehovah's Witness. My mother met a Jehovah's Witness when I was 4. So from the time I was 4 to the time I was about 30, when I had my soul awakening, I was associated with Jehovah's Witnesses and taught and trained in that path, in that tradition, or that faith walk. Now, when I was about 8 or 9, we were sitting in the Kingdom Hall. I remember this. This was on Bradhurst Avenue in New York City, across the street from that park. So there's a park across the street, and right across from that park, they had built a double Kingdom Hall, both one on one side. We were in Bradhurst congregation. They have congregations, different congregations that go to Kingdom Halls, okay? So this was a double Kingdom Hall. It was like all the rage, because this was back in the 60s, and that was like, wow. State of the art, okay? So here we are in the Kingdom Hall, and it was sort of like a semicircle. It was like a half circle. So I'm sitting in the Kingdom Hall. It was, state of the art Kingdom Hall. So I'm sitting in this new Kingdom Hall, and I turn and I look over my shoulder, and just look like, so let's say I'm like this, and I turn and I look over my shoulder at a sister who's sitting sort of cat-a-corner to me, right? And I'm looking at her, and I'm seeing things. I'm seeing things about her. And unbeknownst to me, I was staring. I didn't know I was staring. I was only about 8 or 9. I didn't know I was staring. At the end of the Kingdom Hall meeting, now I don't know how long I was looking at her, and she was very uncomfortable. At the end of the meeting, she came over to my mother. She said, "You better tell that girl to stop staring at me." And I'm standing there, and I'm looking at the big people like, oh. And what I didn't realize is that the eyes, what I did not know on a conscious level, is that the eyes have tremendous power. There is a tremendous amount of energy coming from your eyes. And that's what people call the evil eye, or putting the eye on somebody, because you can emit a tremendous amount of energy through your eyes. It's actually the portal that emits the most energy. We may think it's the mouth, but in silent energy, the eyes emit so much energy that in Kabbalah it's actually taught that if I'm standing over your shoulder looking at a book that you're reading, that the energy from my eyes looking over your shoulder will go to the page, bounce off, and hit you. That's how much energy is coming from your eyes. I didn't consciously know that when I was 8 or 9. I was simply doing what I was doing. And that's part of my understanding now. Part of my practice now is the emitting, is working with the energy emitted from the eyes. Yes? Okay. So, I give you that as an example, that when you were younger, my beautiful angel who wrote the letter to me about being 4 and her mom saying, well, you've been talking to the angels ever since you were little. These things are signposts that tell you what's really going on with yourself. And it's for you to pay attention to it, to honor it, to accept it, embrace it, love yourself, love all of who you are, and then share. In that process, share all of who you are authentically with the rest of us. Be blessed. I love you, Valerie. Love. Mwah.